I'm really warming up to the Washington Redskins' new head coach, Ron Rivera. The more I hear him talk, the more I like. My first reaction when he was hired was, who cares? The Redskins hired a good head coach. Congratulations. Coach has never been the issue. They had a good head coach before. The problem has always been ownership with the Washington Redskins. But is it possible, and it might be, is it possible that the ownership of the Washington Redskins, Dan Snyder, the owner, could he be changing his approach? Maybe. But again, I got to say, regardless, the more I listen to Ron Rivera, the more I love the messages he's putting out. And I'm just rooting for Ron, man. Ron seems like good people. It leaks out of him. There's an interview he did with Brian Mitchell. I have no idea what the Brian Mitchell show is, but he did an interview with them. And everything Ron Rivera was putting out was awesome. I love his energy. He was cool, level-headed, and poised. And he kept saying that he wanted to hire teachers, people who teach the game of football. And then he said that why matters. You have to be able to explain to your players why they're doing what they're doing. And to me, as a person, I always wanted to hear why, and I often never got it from teachers and coaches. And I was like, yes, I always wanted to know why algebra mattered in high school. Like, I never did. I never cared. I was like, this doesn't help me. I want to talk into a mic for a living. If you can explain to me why it matters, I'm all ears. And so it's more of a joke, but why is important, and be able to explain to players, here's why we're running this play or this system or this or that. Why is really important. And so, and then Ron said, you can't just go into a room and say, let's win games. You have to give them a detailed plan. You have to give the young men you're coaching, here's how we're going to win games. Not just let's win games. We're going to do this, this, this. Here are the steps we need to take in order to become a winning football team. Ron Rivera was saying all the right stuff. Then Ron also mentioned that he got on the phone before he was hired to be the Washington Redskins head coach. He got on the phone with Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs is a former Redskins head coach. And he called him up and they had a conversation about the Washington Redskins ownership, about Dan Snyder, the owner of the football team. And the question was, hey, what's it like to have Dan Snyder be your boss? So Ron Rivera knows what he's getting into and the situation he's walking into as the head coach of the Washington Redskins. He said that his relationship with the front office is not about power. It's about collaborating to get him the tools he needs to win football games. And so I like that. And the final thing he said was really cool. He said one of the important things you have to understand when you come into any new situation is, Ron Rivera said this, I loved it. Ron Rivera said, when you come into a new situation, you need to listen. You need to listen to the needs of the people working for you and around you. And I was like, oh, that's good, Ron. That's wise. A lot of wisdom there. And Ron Rivera pointed out that he's considering hiring Kevin O'Connor to work with the offense. Kevin O'Connor is a guy. O'Connell? Is O'Connor or O'Connell? I think it's O'Connell, actually. A guy who's been there before. And one of my issues with Ron Rivera when he was hired, I don't know if issue is the right word, but my concern was Ron Rivera is a defensive-minded head coach. And you have a young second-year quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, who's going to need help. And, Ron Rivera was very... the way he talked about Dwayne Haskins was awesome, because Ron Rivera basically said, Dwayne Haskins still needs to prove himself. He said, Dwayne has an opportunity this offseason to show what kind of pro he is with the work he does in the offseason. How much is Dwayne Haskins going to improve as a quarterback this offseason? And then the coolest part was that Ron Rivera pointed out that, keeping the same offense wouldn't just help the quarterback. He also says, look, we have a bunch of young receivers. We have Darius Geis at running back. We have multiple guys who would benefit from keeping the same system around with the Washington Redskins. Keeping things consistent would help more than just the quarterback. And, Ron Rivera was saying all the right stuff. I really liked it. Here's one other thing is Ron Rivera, I have been concerned, who is Ron Rivera going to hire as the offensive coordinator? And I think I've been a little bit impatient, more than is fair, because Ron Rivera seems to be taking his time, listening, taking everything in. He's in no hurry to hire an offensive coordinator. I think it's actually really good. There's a thing my dad and I always talk about. My dad says, hire slow, fire fast. Take your time with the people you bring into your family, the people you bring into your organization, the people you bring into your company. Don't be in a hurry to work with people. Make sure they're the right fit first. And that's what Ron Rivera, I think, is doing with the Washington Redskins. He's taking his time to find a really good fit as the offensive coordinator. And then if it doesn't work, fire fast. Get rid of them, move on quickly. But everything Ron Rivera is doing and saying, I don't know if Ron Rivera is going to work with the Washington Redskins because, again, I have major concerns with their ownership. But everything Ron Rivera is saying and doing has spoken to me, and I really like. And he's saying and doing all the right stuff with the Washington Redskins.